At the towering cliffs of Alcmenon, they would look insurmountable to other men, but not to Conan of Cimmeria. It is the will of the gods that the Stygian and his Semitish dogs be driven from Keshan. Oh, barbarian, lest you wish this castle your final destination. I could kill you, son of Gaul, easily. Welcome to World of Conan and to the review of Conan and the Jewels of Gwahlur, published by Marvel, originally published by Dark Horse. This collection includes Conan and the Jewels of Gwahlur and two one-shots that are Conan and the Daughters of Midora and Conan and the Mad King of Gaul. First story in the collection is the Jewels of Gwahlur, adaptation and art by P. Craig Russell. Now, I hadn't heard of Russell before, but this has piqued my interest as I heard that he has done a few Elric comics, so I'm definitely interested in checking out those. I had read before only the black and white version of this story found in Savage Sword of Conan issue 25, which is also a very good version by Roy Thomas and Dick Giordano. So the Jewels of Gwahlur starts with Conan after the Red Nails story, which by the way is amazingly done in comic form by Barry Windsor-Smith, if you're interested in that. Red Nails is also one of the finest, absolutely finest Robert E. Howard stories. Definitely check that out. The story starts with Conan coming to the kingdom of Keshan to steal the jewels from the ancient palace of Alcmenon. To get access to the deserted palace and to not stand out, he offers his services to the king to train the king's soldiers. The king accepts, but after a while things get complicated, as an old enemy of Conan turns up from another kingdom to offer an alliance to the Keshan king for the price of some of the jewels, which he accepts. But it doesn't take long for Conan to find himself at the palace searching for the jewels. There he comes across the goddess said to reside there and whom the Keshan priests visit to ask for her guidance. This story is not one of my favorites by Howard, however it is a classic Conan tale of him coming to an ancient place to steal something of great value. The art by Russell at first for me was not that appealing. It reminded me of the European comic art style, while I had become a bit more accustomed to the American style. However, in reading this version I actually started to like the art and style more and more, and now I prefer this version to the black and white one that's found in Savage Sword of Conan. For me, the Russell version felt to breathe more in the panels and I could see the vistas more. The black and white one was more cramped, though I usually prefer the black and white versions for their great detail. In this Russell version there are some really beautiful pages with red, yellow and blue popping out from the panels, absolutely beautiful. This adaptation is definitely the highlight of this collection, and it also has a nice interview with P. Craig Russell about the adaptation and his work in comics at the end of the book. Unfortunately, the next two stories are the low point of this collection, because the stories are not good. First up is Conan and the Daughters of Midora, with art and story by Jimmy Palmiotti, which finds Conan in the holy city of Guvia, near the border of Brithunia, where he starts a fight and gets himself arrested, which we find out later was part of Conan's plan, so he would be taken to the castle where he wants to steal a black pearl. But alas, Conan, after escaping, is apprehended again and this time brought before the king, and the king offers Conan a mission to save his daughter, who has been kidnapped by the king's former wizard. And so he sets out with the other daughter for a rescue mission. This story felt very derivative and a rehash of the story found in the movie Conan the Barbarian, where the king also asks Conan to rescue his daughter, just with a twist. So the story is very forgettable, but Palmiotti's art is really good with some great panels, but the story just isn't good. But if that doesn't matter and it's good enough for you, then get this, otherwise I don't recommend this. The last story is Conan and the Mad King of Gaul, with art and story by Derek Robertson. The art is beautiful in this, even better and more detailed than the Midora one. Just fantastic, love it. The story is about the Mad King of Gaul, who was a former Aquilonian general who rules a small kingdom near the western border of Aquilonia. He is a ferocious fighter who fights everyone and everything like a berserker, protecting his small but fertile kingdom from all aggressors. Now Conan in this story is supposed to be 19, doesn't really look it, and he shows up when the Mad King is celebrating his victory with his men. During this, Conan sneaks in and steals their food because he's hungry. He is caught by the king and his men, and a fight ensues and many skulls get a taste of Conan's fists. But the king stops the fight and offers Conan to join him because he is impressed with Conan's fighting spirit, and Conan agrees to join for money and food. Many battles ensue and Conan fights with the rage of a berserker. Soon though, the Mad King falls, and here is where the biggest problem starts with this story. The people despair when their king dies, and ask Conan to take up the kingship, since they want the strongest protector, because they are attacked from all sides. Conan is surprised, but he agrees to become king. But because he's young, his kingship goes from bad to worse, and the defenders dwindle to older men, and the famine comes upon the land. Why this story doesn't work is because Conan becoming king at a young age undermines Howard's writings and the character of Conan, how he is established. At this stage of Conan's life, he is adventuring, being a thief and a mercenary. I do not believe at all that the Conan would want to be a king at this point in his life. He's not even looking for it yet, and he's not even ready for it yet. So this story actually irks me because it just undermines, like I said, when Conan does become king after a long fight up to the top. It fails as a story, and you could have gone many different ways, story-wise, so it is a disappointment. That then wraps up all the stories. So I recommend the P. Craig Russell adaptation and the other two for their great art, but otherwise I do not recommend them. You can get this collection for cheap though, so it's up to you, but don't expect much of the two stories. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next video. Hail Conan.